Well, it's that time of the morning again. Hiya, it's me, Miss Ashley. And what you just saw is my son's routine that he does throughout the day, every few hours. He was born with spina bifida, which I will make another video to explain what that is. But it is a birth defect. Well, I'll give a brief explanation. It's a birth defect where anywhere along the spine uh, hole is left open during the child's formation in utero, and it does not close, and it exposes the spinal cord, and the amniotic fluid gets into it, and the amniotic fluid is basically like acid to the spinal cord, which damages it. So it could even be up in as far as up in the neck. So as far up as the hole is as far up as the body is, the more uh, intense the damages are, and the more problems the child has with his or her body. Right when he was diagnosed, his was very, very low. Uh, I forgot which exact area, but it's in his lumbar area. I don't remember like over which lumbar it is, but his is classified as the MMC spina bifida, myelomeningocele spina bifida. Yes, took me a long time to say it right. Now, with children with spina bifida, they are typically born with a neurogenic bladder, but by the grace of God, he did not have that. The doctors called him a miracle baby, and he still is, because he still beats all the odds that are put against him, health-wise, physical-wise, and whatnot. But unfortunately, he did over time develop a neurogenic bladder. This part is a little hard. When the child is born that has spina bifida, the closure has to get closed. So it got closed the next day after he was born, which I did have to have a C-section. Children with spina bifida, once it's caught, once it's caught, as long as it's caught beforehand, um, the only way to have the child is a C-section. Otherwise, you risk damage and potentially putting that child's life in danger. And again, all the further details of it will be in a different video. I didn't want to make this one too long. Anyhow, they closed it, and I noticed that the closure around the surgical site was not flush. I understand there would be like swelling and stuff like that, but he didn't really have any swelling. Babies, infants' bodies, they react differently. Their nervous system is still developing, and there's still things developing, so they react to pain differently. Their body reacts to things differently. So he did not have any swelling at all. Um, it was very flush. Then all of a sudden, it was getting really bumpy and hard around, and me, knowing me, I know things. I'm like, that's scar tissue. And that's an excessive amount of scar tissue. And I wish I had pictures to show you guys, but it was an excessive amount of scar tissues. And I begged the doctors for a whole year, do a MRI because something's not right. That looks like an excessive amount of scar tissue. They said, oh, it's scar tissue. I know it's scar tissue, but it's an excessive amount. And then he started having issues with his progress. He was doing so well with pulling up and standing. Of course, developmental delays are inevitable with these children, um, because they will have uh, weaknesses in their legs and their feet, and partial paralysis and full paralysis depending on the child and how bad their spina bifida is. But he was doing pretty well um, within his range of his diagnosis. All of a sudden, with him being able to pull up and take some steps and He would pull up and couldn't even take steps anymore. He couldn't keep any food down. He was throwing up all the time. And it was other things that were going on too. Um, that I just noticed my son was not right. Like his pee stream was a normal pee stream. It wasn't normal anymore. Um, which then I they diagnosed that part and said it was neurogenic bladder, and I'm like, but it was not the spina bifida that's causing it, because he would have been born with it. So let's see what's causing the neurogenic bladder. Begged and begged still. They did not want to do an MRI. They did not want to do any testing to see what was causing this issue. I went through a lot of back and forth. I even got this, I'm not going to call any names. Um, I'm not going to call anybody out their names, but I got this very extremely unpleasant urologist that I kept dealing with. And she was actually a nurse practitioner under the urologist. And she would try to put me like I'm being a bad mom, and then instead of focusing on the issue at hand, all of a sudden she's saying my child is malnourished, which we did the blood work like they said, and he's not malnourished. He's very healthy. The child eats. He always eats. Like he would eat every hour and a half when I breastfed him. Like the boy ate. Like he had rolls when he was a baby. But she was just deflecting the issue and my concern and how upset I was, and deflecting that towards me, saying she's doing what she can and doing the MRI. They wouldn't feel comfortable doing an MRI because he don't need it. Bet. Took my butt to New York, where I'm from. I already had did research on the children's hospital and which exact neurologist I needed to go to get this problem fixed, because I know whatever it was, he didn't need the urologist. He needed a neurologist to see what's going on at the surgical site and see what's happening to his spinal cord. Long story short, this is the super hard part. Long story short, he heard what I said, immediately knew something was wrong. He said, I'm not going to tell you until we do the test. He sent me for an emergency MRI in the morning time with my son. 4 o'clock in the morning, this MRI was. 4 o'clock in the morning. Uh, got the results the same day. There was an excessive amount of the scar tissue, and it had attached to his spinal cord on both sides, the left and the right side, and it was tugging at his spinal cord, which was, in short, making his body shut down. His organs were shutting down. Now, for a whole year, I told him something was wrong, and my child was dying. And that's what was really happening. He was dying. Everything was failing. That's why he couldn't catch his balance anymore. Like, like take his few steps, even with the AFOs after he received them. Um, he couldn't keep food down. He was losing weight because of the medicine they were giving him uh, for the neurogenic bladder, um, which that was another thing that they wasn't listening. He was having such a reaction to it. He was having so much diarrhea, the boy was losing weight. And they were telling me he's malnourished because he's losing weight. I'm like, no, he's losing weight because he's on medicine that I told you is making him have diarrhea. You know, the boy, my baby was not right. And the best advocate you can have for yourself is yourself. Stand up for your children. Stand up for yourself. You know your body better than anybody else. The doctor can only do their job if you tell them what's wrong. They just have the access to, prescriptions and, you know, surgeries and machines to help further diagnose you, but they can't even start to begin what to do until you tell them what's wrong. And I swear, I'm telling you, If I wasn't who I am, thank God God made me who I am. Thank God I listened and knew there was something wrong. And, leaving, with a baby from one state, just getting up and leaving from one state to another is hard, but fortunately enough, I saved. I had money to go. Even if I didn't, I would have found a way. I would have found a way. Um, that doctor told me if I would have never came, if I would have never found help somewhere else, he would have never forget me begging for help for another year. He would have never made it another year. And that's something I always keep in my head every time when I know something's not right, or I think the doctor could do better, or I think even with myself, even with myself, even with myself, I always keep that situation in mind because my baby would not be here. He would not be here if I didn't self advocate for him. He would not. And that's not me thinking the negative side of things. That's me being actual factual with you. That's being actual factual with myself. It took me a long time to accept things with my son's health, and it made me move like a zombie. But being like that doesn't help you. It doesn't help anybody. Being able to accept is a hard thing for anybody. Once you accept something happened, good and bad, you can move forward a lot harder, a lot stronger, because it's life. It's definitely life. Everybody has their time. Everybody has their lessons that they need to learn to get where they need to go. And I thank God, I swear, thank God every single day. I mean, yeah, my son, he's a child. He's an 8-year-old boy. Sometimes he gets a little rambunctious, but I love him to death every single day. There's times that he don't even know that I still think about, man, he really couldn't have been here. There was really a time in his short life that he really wouldn't be here. So I don't let nobody tell me it's only A when there's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay? You know when there's something wrong. You know. And I knew. I knew for a long time, but I felt like I was stuck. I felt like, well, they're the children's hospital doctors. They know. They tell me the right thing. I should be able to trust them. But that's life. You can't. You can't. Not every doctor is really willing to go. I can't say beyond their out their way because that's doing their job diagnosing a problem, but not every doctor is on your side. And the fact that this lady told me that she definitely had the nerve to tell me the fact that she's Team Basil. That's the last thing she said to me before I left in the last visit. I said, "You're Team Basil?" I said, "Ain't nobody gonna be more Team Basil than his mama. And you seeing my son was a privilege, and this would be the last time you see him." Bet it was. Bet it was. Because when it was, and I made sure I moved before it would have been time for him to see a doctor again. I left. I said, this ain't happening. Had the nerve to tell me, "Oh, I'm Team Basil. I'm Team Basil." You Team Basil, but you let my son die. He's dying while you're telling me this shit. Excuse my language. I promised I wasn't gonna curse. I made a promise to myself I wasn't gonna curse on my YouTube channels, but I'm sorry guys, but yeah, she's telling me that nonsense. Mind you, my son's body was shutting down. the whole time. And all it took was a simple MRI to see there was a major problem. Self advocate, guys, self advocate. But I wish I could show you guys how I do the cathing, but I can't because I'm not going to show you my son while I'm doing that. But I will show you, which I didn't even know until I came down here to Georgia, that there's different tips on catheters. He used to do a 8 French straight tip catheter, which I was wondering, I'm like, I couldn't, I used to have a hard time getting it in there. In the urethra. I could feel it scraping, even if I put, I put a lot of lubrication. But then, wonderful lady, nurse, which I always give her props at the Spinabifida clinic here where I'm at in Georgia, she told me about this kudo tip catheter. And it's an oval tip. I'm gonna try to, okay, there it goes. It's oval tip. Try to play this way. There you go. There you can see it. It's a rounded oval tip, and it goes at an angle right at the tip, and it kind of opens up the urethra more. And it's a short one. I just drain it out on the disposable chuck here or the bathroom, depending on where we are. We're at home, so I just do it on the disposable pad. You can connect it to the catheter bag, but he doesn't need one because he's just draining um, every now and again. And it's a short one, so it's easy to travel with. I keep a little bag in my car for when we gotta go places. But anyway, so if you know anyone, you yourself, or if you know anyone, or if you're taking care of someone who does cathing and the catheter is very uncomfortable, um, and it's scraping and what have you, having a hard time getting it in, this might be a better option for you. The kudo tip catheter. Kudo, I think it's Coude, or Coude, I'm sorry, Coude, Coude tip catheter. And it's an oval tip catheter. An oval kudo tip. What the heck, man? An oval kudo tip. An oval kude tip. There we go. Catheter is 8 French. 8 meaning the length of it. It's different lengths, but I think because he's a child, he gets a shorter one. So I think an adult might get like a 14, 16, or whatever. Men would probably get a longer one than females because I think their urethra path to the bladder, if I'm not mistaken, is a longer path. So they probably get a longer catheter. But I just wanted to share a little something with you guys, a little personal stuff I do for my son. Cathing, it's not easy. It took a long time for him to get comfortable with the cathing. He started at 2. He was off and on for a while. He didn't get comfortable until, I say, last year. And he's 8 years old. He's 8 years old. And he, some people say, oh, he's at the age where he should be doing it himself. Listen, I'm not forcing my child to do something he's not comfortable with. If he just got comfortable with somebody doing it for him, I'm not gonna let him make him do it by himself. He just got comfortable. I mean, by 10 years old would be my goal for him to be able to do it by himself. But I know balancing is an issue. And even with his AFOs on, him standing in place long enough to do it is not a thing. Even if he has something to hold on to with one hand, he can't cath with one hand. You need 2 hands to cath. You need one hand to hold the shaft. Sometimes you have to angle it and, make sure it's straight. And then, obviously the other hand to guide the catheter in. So I know my baby, shoot. I know my son. He ain't ready to cap himself yet, and I'm not gonna force him to. Shoot. I mean, he got a surgery to fix one of his ankles. It had pronated because of the weakness in the one leg, the right calf to be more specifically, is so weak it does not have enough strength to even hold his foot straight. So unfortunately, as he got older, that leg didn't get strong enough. He has no working nerves in that part of his leg, from the calf down to his feet. But I'm trying to get that surgery done this year in summer, and hopefully that'll help him obtain more balance to be able to cap himself by himself. Because my goal for this boy, as far as his physical health, is for him to be as self efficient as possible. I do not want him to feel like he got to rely on people all the time, because he's getting to the point where some of these things are embarrassing for him, which I can see how, but I can never understand because I'm not in his shoes. And that's the fact. I'm not in his shoes. I never dealt with this personally, so I can't exactly know what he feels, but I can understand how he might feel the way he feel. And I just try to do my best as his mother to let him know God made him a special way. God made everybody a certain way for a reason. God not picking on him. He's a special kid. And, God made him extra duper, super duper special. And that's what I tell him. And I make sure I give him affirmations and make sure I check on his emotional status every single day, because he does get bullied now. He didn't used to. The kids used to be so like helpful with him, help him get stuff. If he falls down, help him, encourage him to stand up and things like that. But now he's at the age where the kids, they're bullying him, and I keep pushing to encourage the school to teach the kids um, about other kids being different or being special. It's not for them to be mean, but everybody is special in their own way. Well, I'm out of here. Show me love and please subscribe, like, comment, um, talk to me. Here's a little guy right here. This is Basil.
Hi.
I was telling them about your cathing, which we're about to do right now.
Really?
Yeah, it's time to do it.
I'm doing for you.
Don't do that. That's not nice.
I'm hugging mommy.
Okay. Thank you,
Love you
bud.
guys. Mwah.
So please like, share, subscribe, comment below, hit the notification bell, cause I be hitting upload very often on this channel, and I'm try to keep it that way. And I'm gonna share as much as I can with you guys, give you some entertainment, give you some family fun, give you some laughter, give you some life guidance, and all that good stuff.
I got it.
Mwah, 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 mwah.
I got a video, and then it's very funny. Please go watch it, guys. It's on video.
It's on our channel.
Yeah.
Well, some of his videos go on my channel. He don't have a channel. Miss _ Ashley. Peace out. Bye.